What up, guys? On today, we have a very special guest out here on the microphone with us. He has featured on this channel a wee while ago. You sometimes see him in the background of a lot of videos. Today, we have New Zealand's best dirt jump rider that has come out of this country and one of my best friends, Mr. Paul Langlands. Well, awesome. Just like I just said, we have Paul Langlands with us today on the microphone. How are you, good sir?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, pretty good, pretty good. Long time no see.
Oh, yeah, last week or a couple of days.
Yeah, well, you know.
Last time I was around here.
I was meaning for the channel viewers,
the
mate.
channel. Yeah. No.
Oh, well, we might as well start this off with a... You nervous?
Oh, a little bit.
I'm a little bit nervous
before you
too.
drop in, you got to get ready a little bit, yeah. No.
We'll start this off with a question I get asked all of the time. Does Paul still ride his bike?
Yeah, every day. Well, not every, well, pretty much every day.
Every day?
Oh, if it's raining, not really,
Not
no.
wrong.
No. Yeah. The day I'll stop riding my bike is the day I can't do it anymore, really. So if you love something that much, it just doesn't matter when you do it or how you do it, but you just keep doing it. Yeah.
Fair play. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, don't quite ride like how I would used to, I guess. Like, no, I haven't done many, I've done a no-footer the other day, but otherwise haven't done many tricks for a while. I don't do any tricks. I just ride around and, yeah, have heaps of fun. But I feel that my riding is the best it's ever felt. I just give attention to riding rather than what I can do while I'm riding, I guess, and it just get that much more out of it by being that much more into it. So
Just out there on the pedals, just enjoying it, feeling the flow of it.
Yeah, bro, just loving riding around. And it's just taking it back to why I started in the first place without actually really trying to. It's just what's come around naturally, I guess, through a few events and things and bits and pieces that took place, which kind of led towards that, but more so just because, yeah, that was the whole reason why I started, was I enjoyed riding, not necessarily doing the tricks,
Yep.
And then, yeah.
Oh, well, while we're on that bit of a topic, why don't you give us a bit of a background of when you started and how you started?
I used to race BMX from 5 until about 11 or 12, and then I was just the fella at the BMX track doing the tricks and doing the jumps and getting in trouble for doing the tricks and the racing when you weren't supposed to be and that kind of thing. And then was more just doing freestyle and then going along to racing to do those events. So I just kind of pulled back from the racing and just focused on riding at home in the yard, building jumps and riding jumps, and then followed on from that, and then that just led to mountain biked and took a few other different avenues and things and stuff, but riding dirt jumps was always from the start, that's what led into the BMX riding and then into the racing, and then that's just always been the foundation. So whatever it was, that was always to go back to, so that's never left. Yeah.
So what would be, I guess, somewhat of a quick bit of a highlight in your career as a BMX rider / somewhat professional? Well, as professional as they come in New Zealand anyway.
Like achievements kind of thing, you mean?
Yeah, let's just up a couple.
I love the hills.
The hills.
The hills.
Yeah, I can see how you love that.
Yeah, the hills, bro.
Out there slogging it all out there for the love of it.
Yeah, but it was the whole process, not and when I say the hills, it doesn't mean just jumping that jump and landing it, or like any of those jumps and landing it, or accomplishing or achieving it. It was the whole process, the whole way through, from just like what was being put into it, like, and the feeling that I was just loving what I was doing while I was out there.
Yeah, because I guess you learned a lot. Even though you had all these years of experience, you still learnt heaps while you were out there.
Massively. That was if I had it, if I'd already learnt it, I would have landed it first time, or it would have worked first time. It was massive learning. But then alongside that as well, it was like learning heaps about myself too. Of just like it's stuff that you've already kind of practiced in different avenues, but then it was just taking that into another approach to be able to pull it off. But then also same mindset, but a different perspective of it, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was, I guess, on size-wise of the jumps as well, was quite a bit of a leap from what you were normally riding.
I like the pun there. It was a bit of a leap. Nah, yeah, definitely. But I always love big jumps. Big jumps, sick. It's, you hold that point for that longer period of time. But it's what makes it mean. And then the more you do over, it makes it even more intense. But then it's what was the question again?
I was just saying it was obvious.
Oh,
It's
no
quite
question.
a big of a. It wasn't a question.
No
It was just saying it was quite a big of a leap, say from your yard setup or general big massive jumps that we used to ride to then going out and hitting the hills where it sort of almost doubled the size somewhat.
Yeah.
So I guess the learning curve of making the jump, the whole process of riding the jump.
More so the position of I'm putting myself into this, which I don't need to be putting myself into, and this might not go well, and am I prepared to do this? And if this doesn't, you hit 30 foot, it doesn't go well.
The risk factor. Way up.
Way up. That was the leap, because it's more of the this. Sorry, that was one of my rules. If this doesn't go well, the consequences are a lot more severe.
Yeah,
and I somehow
you definitely got off.
I broke a nail. I remember I broke a nail.
Was it painted?
I would have been more gutted if it was. I took some whacks, that's for sure. Like took the impacts, but of injury wise, I never got injured in the hills, except for a broken nail. But but otherwise, very lucky, But that's more what I mean. That's it's putting yourself into that mental position of, when you're sitting there and you're like, that's. I still remember. It's you're sitting there in the moment, and the moment of from getting ready to go to going, it's that point of now that point is what's the word? It's just intensified, heaps more.
I've decided to drop in, I'm leaving.
So it's standing on the edge, and you're like, okay, jump. And stand there whoa, okay, when am I going to go? And that point from not going to going, it's that point of change is a lot more intense. You're not just sitting at the bowl going, I'm going to drop in and do an air out. That point in change is quite minimum as compared to okay, I'm dropping in to do this right now. I don't know what's going to happen. How's this going to go? I don't know, but you have to just have full confidence in yourself and everything you've done to leading up to it.
Yeah, well, I definitely remember when you made the first 60 footer, was it? The very first one?
70
footer. 73.
Yeah.
Far out.
And then I think by the time I built, it was 73, and I built the lip, and it worked out about 70 by the end, yeah.
Yeah, because when you first were trialing that
hitting
one,
that at 70 Ks, pretty much 70 Ks an hour, was because I had that speeder on there. It was hitting that at 70 Ks, 73 Ks an hour.
That's fast on a BMX bike. No suspension.
But it wasn't. Yeah, I can see what I did now, and I look at it now, and I'm like, yeah, well, that wasn't gonna. I can see why it didn't work, but we're at the point in the time and in the learning process is what you go through, and I'm like,
there was no one else around, well, especially in this country, to give you any knowledge of that size.
We only figure it out by doing it,
Yeah.
and you only figure it out by doing it. But after doing it, now I look at it and I'm like, well, if I had done this and that and there, then it would have worked. But instead, I had to go whack, 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 bang, boom, and then okay, lucky I didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
But now I know, and then through the whole process, then that's why after all of the hours of digging, ending up going back to the 40 footer and turned it into a 60. It was I'd figured it out, and there it is.
So that was your second location in the hills. The third location.
Oh, the second one, where I went back. So it became the fourth, but it was the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So went from 73.
73, went over to that other one, which was, I can't remember what that was now.
40.
No, over the other side.
On the other side of the hill.
Yeah, over that
where you
side.
made the rhythm section or the whole
dug
section.
that whole other set.
That was gnarly.
That step down.
I remember looking at that step down and was like, there is no way. I wouldn't even hit this on a mountain bike. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't do step downs, and that thing was and I don't do step downs, and that thing was you'd stand down there looking there's land down there.
Oh, I was nervous standing there, let alone riding off it.
What I'm stoked on is I didn't hit it from where I first thought I was going to hit it from, because where I first thought I was going to hit it from, because I would have overshot that whole landing and landed way too far down.
Yeah.
Way too far down, and would have just gotten rolled.
Yeah, well, you were landing pretty deep on it.
Yeah, as it was.
As it
Yeah,
was,
yeah. You
yeah.
don't need much speed for step downs. As you figured it out.
But yeah, that set was never actually successfully hit. Well, you hit it, but you never actually cleared it. The step down set.
Yeah, nah.
There was something wasn't right with it.
Yeah, I know I can see what it was now, but then same thing.
Yeah, and then so that's when you went back to your 40-foot location, which was in the fourth location, and turning it into a 60-foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely remember that day pretty good.
Sometimes I was just thinking then it's like far out. But then like that's just what happens in life in general anyway. So it's like it's not too bad when it's just a set of jump and you're like, oh okay, I figured out that jump didn't work. I have to go and do it over here now and make it work. At least it wasn't something that's like, oh far out. Now I'm in jail or something like that, you know.
Yeah. Oh well, you know, like
but just in general, I
just
mean,
that's
like,
just
that's just life. That's just
makes.
there's life. Yeah, it's just the process that you go through in learning anything.
Yeah.
It's just that
you're out digging someone's paddock, having a learn
some jumps rather than
causing
going
crime issues.
I don't do crime. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like that's just the whole process of learning, and through that whole process, like if you stick to it and you get and you actually figure out or you actually see where you could make improvements, then you can achieve what it is that you're wanting to achieve. But if you just give up, you don't get there. And if you don't actually take a look at what you did, then you don't make. Then you just keep running into the same errors.
Oh, so yeah, the hills definitely. If you haven't checked out the hills, head onto the internet and look up Paul Langlands The Hills. So there's a 3-part series.
Yep. Yeah.
So head on out there.
That was something. Like because I remember because you were saying it's like the day is you text me and you say we're going out to hit the hills. It's like you're not just going out there just to have a play around. You're like, you're driving out there and like and I remember you're like driving out there with the mentality of being like, all right, I'm either like going to be driving back home from this or going to be getting picked up off the ground.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself into a position where you could be not going home that night. So it's like it's a pretty
serious.
Yeah. And when it's like even when you're padding up and getting ready and you're like, you know, it's like
I mean, like you were the one riding. I was standing on the sideline for a lot of it, and even I was super nervous, knowing the exact same thing. Like, I might be picking my mate off the floor.
But then what's buzzy is we still had the plan like, okay, bro, if this goes down and it all goes up the whoop, call the helicopter, tell them we're in a position that it's going to be hard to access by a by vehicle, and don't ask for the helicopter because then we've got to pay for it. But tell them that we're in a position that's hard to access by a vehicle. They need to come, you know, it needs to be quick, so they'll send that. You know, that's the mental position you're going into before, and you're sitting there going ready to do the jump with that all knowing in the mind. Like, okay, sweet, we had everything in order for if it was to go, everything in order for if it was to go good, and then everything in order so if it wasn't to go good, so that it was like,
I'm stoked it went good.
Yeah, or most of the time.
Most of the time, you know, you could still pick yourself up off the floor.
Yeah. But like that's the mental position that I was talking about. Is it's like, and you have to be pretty prepared and pretty confident to be in yourself to be able to to put yourself in that position, and to also to actually want to want it that much. Like,
What inspired you to get out there and make the hills?
Dane Sills, his big set for sure. Yeah, I seen it and it's just like that's me. And I remember him. He sent me a text. He was like, "Bro, you got to come over and ride these. Like they're mean, you know." And then you know as things unfold, so like it's like, you know, everyone has their kind of different styles of the way that they would go about doing what they love to do. And for me, it was just digging, like, you know, like I was saying before, starting from BMX, just digging jumps in the backyard. It was like that, but just taken to that, how far can you push it, you know? But it's just, for whatever, but it's just like, because I just love being out there because it was also just in the middle of nowhere with no one around. And it's just,
it was a pretty peaceful, still place.
Peaceful, just digging jumps, like. Yep. So Chinga was the inspiration, but then it's like, and his set, like, same thing. I could only imagine of what he went through and trying to figure out how to make that all work, but then each to their own of like the way they go about it. So it's like that was just I wasn't competing with him or nothing, or competing with anyone or anything. It was just like, this is how it's just expression, and this is how I feel like doing it. So that's how it unfolded.
Yeah, no, well, congratulations on that, because that was a massive personal achievement, I think, for you.
Yeah, I could still remember that. Like, yeah, it's pretty funny, eh? Like,
Oh, I mean, like, how stoked I was for you when you rolled out of it, especially when you're like, I'm going to flip this. This is me. And you flipped it, and I was like, yeah, we cracked it.
Just
We're
like
not picking them off the floor.
the feeling of just, I just remember it still, just the feeling of it just going woof, like this thing that had been sitting there for like however many years, and you know, every day, every night, you're just like thinking about it, and then it's just like, whew, and it's just this release. It feels incredible. That's why I just felt at the ground a little. Like,
Yep. Well, I actually remember that. Yeah, just sort of like on the floor. You're like, yeah, he's pumped.
Just, yeah, mate. Mean.
You've obviously done heaps of stuff with riding. It'd be cool to hear a little bit about, because I run the Spoonworks summer series and have been trying, and we're planning a lot more of that. You've had a lot of event organising skills in the past. It was the Dirt Nats you run. You ran the Dirt Nats.
Did that for 5 years or something, I think it was.
5 years?
I think, yeah, something like that, yeah.
What did it take to sort of, I know a little bit of what it sort of takes, but can you explain to people sort of what it takes to a degree to put on events like that?
Oh, especially when it's not your forte and you're not doing it for money, it's quite a bit of a mission, you know, because but it's all learning, you know, it's at the same time because you haven't practiced it at all, and you have to try and you're doing it for everybody else. So it's like kind of the thing you're learning as you're going, like, you know, so
So where were the first rounds for?
They were at Narrows.
At Narrows Park?
Yeah, I dug that set mission, but like it was not paid, just dig the set, create an event for everybody to ride. Slogged it out, made something happen. Wasn't ideal, but working with what we had to make it work, and then so it's a mission to, but it still comes down to that same thing. It's just coming from here, and while you're doing it, and when you're doing it like that, is as much as it is physical work or learning, it's physical work, but it's also mental learning, you know. So it's just a process that you pass through to try and help the scene and help and just give something back, I guess. Yeah.
So it was 3 years at Narrows Park.
2 years. 2 years at Narrows Park.
2 years at Narrows
Park.
Park.
We had that kicker. First year was the dirt set, and then we had that one with the kicker.
The kicker out of my backyard.
The kicker that just went boom and just sent it in the air. But so it was 2 years there, and then we sent it down to Taupo, and then that's when it just started. Yeah, that's when it started to take off and get to become something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that brings it back to like, when did me and you actually first meet each other? How old were you at the Island Bay?
X-Air, because they were like, that's your competition.
All the older fellas, we need to watch out for him. He's your competition. Like, far out. Langers always was number one, far out.
some little fellows.
Yeah, how old were you when you were at Island Bay?
Yeah,
14 or 15?
I drove myself down there. Well, drove ourselves down there, so it would have been like 16.
16?
Yeah, 16.
No, the first year I remember seeing you at Island Bay, and Jackways brought you down.
It would have been 15.
15, so it would have been 16. So what's that, 20 years? Far out.
Cheapo. Oh yeah, 20 years.
20 years, far out.
Lots happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, it has, and then I moved up when I was 21 to Cambridge and moved into your parents' place, and you also ran more events there as well. The Langers Yard sessions, they were some proper mean events.
Yeah, we had like Red Bull fellas coming over, Red Bull fellas were coming over. Yeah, we had quite a few.
You had heaps of professionals show up.
X-Games medalist fellas hanging out in the yard. You're like buzzing out, like, oh, far out, there's fucking Corey Bowen. Like,
Corey Bowen, Mike Hucker, Luke Parslow,
Bulldog,
all the Aussies.
Bulldog, all these fellas like just coming out,
Yeah, no, those are definitely some highlights. The sessions at your place in the yard, they were definitely highlights for me, for sure. Yeah, because again, I probably would have never have got that opportunity if it wasn't for you and running those events in the yards. They were. That was, I guess at that time it was like kind of creating opportunities for everybody, but then also for myself. That's how it was through that how
when then say like we'd go to America, that we were able to link into that scene a lot easier and stuff, or have those connections with those riders and stuff to go and stay at their place or ride their yards and that kind of thing. Just
because a lot of that all teed in with the down south jams, the Gorge Road jams that had it all, and then Farm Jam that all the pros would come over to New Zealand for anyway.
Yeah. So it all
you got to meet everybody, and like you say, just once you're overseas, you're hanging out with the same crowd of people. Well, then, so you obviously had some experience with running all the events and stuff, that you ended up putting together a team of riders and going around the countryside and doing shows everywhere. How did you sort of get into that?
Doing the shows?
Doing shows.
Well, we were already doing shows, and I guess there's just a bit of an avenue for it. Well, it was kind of like I'd stopped travelling to go and do the competitions overseas. Yep. After Dreamline, I would kind of just it was just like that was, I think, the last international event I rode. And how many
international events did you end up riding?
Yeah, quite a few. Did quite France and England and everywhere around, quite a few.
So you've been to quite a few countries. So your bike took you around the world.
Yeah, and even some cool places, little islands and pieces and stuff. And so it's pretty cool. But it was more when I stopped doing the events overseas and then decided, should we start trying to base something here? Yeah, and that's when you rather than going and chucking the money into overseas and chasing and trying to tap into that scene, build something back here instead. And then that's when I started doing the shows in New Zealand, and then built the ramp with Kavanagh and the in the backyard, and then started traveling around and doing those shows and stuff. Yep.
So you're doing maybe about 10 shows in the summertime?
Sometimes more than that. Yeah, some years it was some years it was more.
Yeah, well, I remember almost being away every second or third weekend.
Yeah, had quite a few on. They kept trickling through, but it was so that was more of it, and that was when I guess the focus got less in the competition sense and more of just still doing tricks and riding and stuff, but just more basing it in New Zealand. I guess it was like you can only, when you're chasing the competition stuff, it's a big game to play, because you're always you're waking up in the morning on it, you're on it all of the time, because as soon as you start slipping, some other fellas coming through and more hungry than you, so you have to just keep on it, that I guess he just got to a point where it's just like over chasing the dragon. You just want to but you just want to
I guess the mindset with competitions, trying to keep up the skill and the thrashing of the body, and just
thrashing of the body, and as well, you're going and getting judged by someone for what you're doing. You're like, you can go to somewhere and ride your best and do give it your all, to be told, nah, mate, that fella today, just because of some fella sitting there with their opinion of the something, and go, nah, it's that fella, and you've just chucked in all of you've put in, you got no money, but you've put in all of your money to go for that and everything, and chased and just had that vision, and then, which is fine, because that's just the way it rolls out, and it's and it's just the way it goes with anything anyway. But it's like, when you stop doing it to please other people and to start doing it for what you enjoy, then there's no need for competition.
Totally.
I quite like that. But that I didn't even kind of realize that really into it. But that's what it is. It's like you stop doing it for other people, and you start going back and doing it. Stop doing it for other people for their approval, but doing it for yourself, for your enjoyment, and doing it for other people to help other people.
Yeah.
So that's where I guess it came back around to the shows, because you're then providing that opportunity for other riders, and you're still getting to enjoy it, rather than having to go and cane yourself and break bones and get hammered just for some other fella sitting there to go, nah, that guy's going to win today because of whatever reason. He did a bar spin and you can't do bar spins. So. He did the same tricks, but he chucked the bar spin, and it's we're giving it to him. Nah. But you know what I mean? But then as well, it comes down to the whole thing of that's what it means to them, but how does it mean to you? You could do the best run you ever, and it could feel the best, and then you're allowing someone else to take that away from you by their opinion.
Yep.
You know, whereas if there was no judges and you went and did that best run and it was what it was, I mean, it still is what it is, and it still does feel the same. I guess when you're doing it for someone else a
little bit more open to disappointment from other people. You know, like you said, you've tried your best, you've done your best, you think you're going to crack it.
Anytime you do anything for someone else, you're open to disappointment. Whether that's what the judges say, whether that's what your sponsors reckon, whether that's what the people in the stands reckon, whether that's how you feel about it. It comes down to everything, you know. And it's like, but then that's also why you put yourself into that position in the start, because you're like, I want to put myself into this position, because you're putting that pressure on yourself to perform under those conditions.
Yep.
But when you take all of that away, it's the best, and it's always the best that it could have ever been.
Yeah.
But then when you take it away even further, and you take away even needing to do the tricks, it can never be anything less than what it is.
Yeah.
And
I can definitely relate to that.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I was exactly the same. You know, you want to be chasing it, and you wanted all of that, but then when you look back at it now, you're kind of like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I still go out and have just as much fun.
Like
and
I used to just go, I remember I'd go, like I just remember at Dreamline, I tried doing a funny whip over that 30-footer thing at the end, and got caned like twice, just no stress, but it was because I fucking saw, but like it why, you know. So I could stand on top of the thing and go, woohoo, I won. Like, which is cool because, like, you know, like you put in all the effort and you get rewarded for your effort, but it feel like you can get a better feeling than that by accomplishing something that you want to do for yourself that doesn't have to be approved by other people.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, and then so then when when I guess I kind of started to realize that I was like, yeah, like, no, I just like riding my bike. Yep.
Well, I guess you just mentioned then you've obviously had a lot of injuries in the sport. What happens to be your biggest injuries, or want to name it or speak about it?
My head injury would have been the biggest, for sure. That was massive. That was like learning to. Yeah, I would be talking, and I'd be trying to say. And you'd have people laughing at you, and you're like, stop laughing, and you're like, stop laughing. I'm just, and you can't, and you still can't get it out, and you're like,
I remember watching and seeing a lot of the frustration.
Yeah, like it's like, so had to pass through all of that, and then so that was a big one to recover from. Yeah, massive. That was like years, like even it's. And then even when you think you're recovered, I remember thinking I was recovered and turned it down to Gorge Road and dropped in and just went bang, boom on the ground and just doing a simple jump again. Like you don't actually realise how much of an
years later how bad it was.
Yeah, so that was the big one. That was the biggest one. And
so the damage on that was as good as somebody having a stroke. Your whole left side was non-functional.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't talk. You couldn't walk.
No, I had to go to the rehab place and be monitored to make sure I remembered, before I could leave the rehab place, you start off in the room where they're watching you all the time, and then when you finish being in the room where they're watching you all the time, you get put into your own little unit, and then you should make sure you can go home and look after yourself properly. So they come in and check in to make sure you've remembered to turn off the elements and turn off the things and stuff like that. So, and just like, and all that kind of thing, no balance and that kind of stuff. So that, and sleep was a big one with that. Sleep's all up the wop, and when your sleep's all up the wop, everything still starts going up the wop, so it's like, just everything just goes, and you're just hard to try and be focused, and then it's just the process of getting it from here to here, and you can have it in here, and you just can't, for some reason, it just didn't want to come out.
And I know a lot of the frustration comes from you already know how to do the something, but while you're now doing that same thing, you're missing a lot of processes along the way, which is what causes, I believe, a lot of the frustration through it. Like, I remember watching you do stuff in the yard, and I was like, why did you do that? And you were like, what do you mean? It's how it's supposed to be done. But
Just don't
you've forgotten steps along the way.
Yep.
I remember seeing a lot.
You just
of that,
don't even, but you just don't even click and register. No, so it's like
Exactly.
it's just, and that's just like, you know, and like your brain's precious. Like it's your thing that it's the thing that it's the piece that makes us operate as we do. And when your main operation piece is not functioning properly, everything starts to not function properly, you know. And then that causes more stuff, and then more stuff, and then more stuff, and then that causes more frustration, and then you just, you know. Yeah. So it's that was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think at that time as well, when we were both living together then, when that happened, I wasn't that far out of my one as well, and I think both of us were just getting at each other all the time as well, because we both didn't know how to do stuff.
Mediator.
We did need a mediator. His dad had to come out into the paddock and separate us all the time.
But it's nothing personal. It's just you're just not being yourself. But I remember at the time, I actually had a remindering. I had a remembering. I'm healed as. I had a remembering of it the other day when I was sitting outside the library, and I was sitting there, and I was just sitting there on the seat, and I was just like this was like the other week, and then I was just sitting there, and it was like, I just completely like, you know, like no thought, just sitting there looking around, and I just thought, and I remembered, I was like, I remembered that I was sitting there, and I was like, this is what it was like when I had my head injury, you know, because I remember just for then all I did was just sit around. I just would just sit around all day, and you're not, because your brain's not working, but you're not really thinking. You're just kind of
Staring into space,
just being present, you know, and just watching the tree, you know. And I was just sitting there doing that, and I was like, far out. This is what kind of like what that was like, and it's just like so I went through a whole heap of process of that, of just everything just slows right down, which is nice when you're not in that position, but
you're having to relax.
Yeah, when you're having to relax,
rather than
like,
trying to fix yourself.
Yeah, but when you're up, but that's just where you are. That's just where you are at, you know, and you're just having to recover. Yeah.
So that was definitely a pretty serious one.
Yeah, one of the
one of the many,
one of the few.
How about you give everyone a bit of a rundown? I remember when we were in the States at Luke Parslow's, and you sent a frontie on his biggest set, and it all went wrong.
Yeah, it didn't come round.
Didn't come round at all.
Yeah, I was just learned them. I think just learned frontie. I was just learning fronties. I'd learned that I was doing them.
I think you were doing them here at home, and you were about to send it over there.
Yeah, I done. Or something happened. I was like, I'm going to send it on that one. It was the biggest jump in the yard, and that jump wasn't a small jump. That jump was like, as Pastor would say, jump's no joke. Like, it was big jump. Jump was no joke. Chucked you in the air. Well, what I did, I was like, yeah, I'm going to frontie that. No. Keen as, like, yeah, this is like kind of what I was talking before, like, why? But like, because you want to do it, it's what you're doing. But like, it was whatever. I'm going to send it. I'm going to send a frontie on that thing. Ring down a rod, and it just stopped it halfway. So I was like halfway through a front flip, mid in the air, like however many stories up.
A few stories
like,
up.
It's not coming around. Jump, like, let go, facing backwards, upside down, and then fell from there onto the peak of the landing on the side of my hip. Folded. I just remember folding over that landing and rolling down to the bottom, and then then you, like, I was just lying on the ground, like having a bit of an animal moment, making some noises, you know, and then you, and then you come over and like, you all right, bro? Like, you all right? And then, you know, like, like, you know, like, get up, like, you know, like, try to get up, like,
tried to get up,
like, cool, like, you know, like, yep, I'm good.
It was the very, very first time I had ever seen Langers not actually get off the floor.
I got up, but then I just fell straight back down.
Yeah.
Went to stand, leg just wasn't there, back down the ground again. And then, pelvis sat around for a couple of days, and then hopped on the plane. I went to the hospital, and they were like, you're flogged out, mate. We're going to need to fix you up here. And I was like, I'm not paying to get fixed up.
That was definitely a really bad experience.
I'm not paying to get fixed up here in America. Like, I'm flying home.
Yeah.
Flying home and get it done there. So got wheelchaired onto the plane with a broken pelvis, and flew home, and thank you, ACC. Got
we borrowed the wheelchair from the mall to get you around for those few days.
Went to the hospital, and you were like,
Oh,
can
that
I
was
get
bad.
can I get
That
a
was-
wheelchair
yeah.
for my mate out in the car? We need to bring him in here, and I was out in the car, and something was happening. It was hot or something, and I couldn't get.
Yeah,
so
it
I
was
started crawling from the car for some reason.
It was extremely hot outside. I had to leave Langers in the car. I ran into the hospital to try and grab a wheelchair, speak to somebody. Obviously, I was foreign in the States at the time, and no one wanted to deal with me. I didn't have any paperwork for an insurance.
They weren't giving you.
They weren't giving me a wheelchair. No one would give me any assistance, and I was in there trying to get stuff sorted for Paul. I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, but I just got. I was
so long, and then
next-
after a while, I'm at the counter trying to stress that this is real important, and then some American dude comes running in, going, "There's a guy dragging himself through the car park. We need a wheelchair." And I was like, "Oh,
I've
far
never
out.
been on the ground, like using
And it
my
was
arms
this guy.
to drag myself across the car. It was like, I'm getting in there,
Yeah."
drag me in, and then they gave you an A
And
pretty
then,
quick
yeah,
after that.
But I felt so bad because once you got to the doorway, and I was like, "Oh, it's Paul." The look you gave me, I was like, "Oh, I
wasn't
my
your
made
fault.
out pretty good." But yeah, just the state you were in, just
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
like,
"Bro, I'm so
Like, I'm
sorry." And-
broken ears, like fix me. I'm sitting in the car in pain, like like hospital's right there, but I'm stuck here. Hugh's gone off in there, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I'll get myself into the hospital then. If I've got to get there somehow, I'll get there. So I
Yeah.
started dragging myself across the car park with by my arms in the ground.
Yeah.
Hot. The asphalt's not that cold in the middle of summer in California.
Nah.
Nah. And then then another one. Then I went back the next year, fronted that jump, and then went over there. I was like, yep, going hard in America this year. Waited for a few days for the jet lag to wear off. Did my routine, like, yep, sweet and good to ride. First jump, bang, boom, down, broken jaw, broken wrist, broken nose, smashed my teeth out, hop on the plane. Oh, Mum, can you book me a flight home? I need to come home.
Yeah, I remember that when I went into your parents' place for dinner that night, like, "Oh, Paul's on his way back home." I was like, "What? He's just got there."
Yeah, literally first jump, drop in, case it over the bars, bang, jaw goes boom. And I was like, oh, on the plane, like, oh, can I please have some soft food? I can't really chew. And they're like, you needed to pre-order your meals. Really? And I'm like crunching my food, but it wasn't even my food that was crunching. It was my bone in my jaw. Yeah, well, face all grazed up and like whatever,
Yeah. Oh, there's also one other one I would love to cover. I've only ever heard about it. I haven't actually spoken to you about it.
Which one's this? Which topic are we talking about? Oh, oh, I thought this was PG rated, not adults only. Nah, keep it clean.
At P&P,
Yeah.
I heard you had caused yourself some internal bleeding. Like, you want to fill us in? Because I've never actually asked you about it or heard. Like, I've only just.
Were you there? There was a
jam at P&P.
There was
I
a
wasn't there.
There was a comp at
I wasn't
the
up there that
down.
year.
There's a comp. They were holding a comp down at the BMX race was on that weekend. They had built some jumps at the BMX race.
So it wasn't even at P&P up at the
No,
trails.
it was a jam the night before. Oh. Yeah, jam. So we're having a bit of a jam the night before, and having a bit of a jam the night before the comp down on the thing, and I was all pumped up, we're going hard, we're ready for the
Classic old school Langlands.
classic Lang blows out the night before the party. But goes so there's the comp the next day, and we're having a jam at P&P the night before, and
So it was at P&P.
did I had my stack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
I've tried flipping Barry. Barry's that one down that you go, I can't do, it's probably 3 times the size now or something.
They changed way. They're crazy.
Scary. Yeah. That's why I like to have a little tutu around now, not A game white knuckle. Hold on. No, yeah. So they were like, I was dropped in at it and was went to flip it, and I slightly tagged it, and my hands blew forward, and I took the handlebars onto my stomach, just crossbar doof into my stomach, down to the ground, bang, having a couple animal moments again on the ground, making some noises had a bit of a spew, and then had a spew on the ground, and then P&P Pete came up to me and was like, offered me a bit of help, and then I was like sitting around, and I was like, oh, and like just didn't feel too good. I just wasn't feeling too good, and I was like, comp tomorrow though, like, comp tomorrow, and I was like, nah, I'm not feeling. I gotta go home, like I'm going home. Like you see you fellas, I'm going home. So I hopped in my car and started driving home. And I was driving home, and I got to like the highway, and I was like, ooh, not feeling too fancy. And then my shoulder started getting sore, and I was like, did I cane my shoulder? And I was like, oh, like, turns out when you got internal bleeding, it sends the pain to your shoulder. Didn't know that for some reason.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Good to know.
Yeah, I didn't know until I got to the hospital either. But anyway, so I was driving home, and then as I'm driving down the motorway, it's just getting worse. And I'm like, oh, like holding on. And instead of driving home, I just drove straight to the hospital and walked in there and was just like, yeah, had a bit of a crash and stuff. And like, oh, yeah, like, how'd you get here? And I was like, oh, like, I drove. And I'm like, what's going on? And then, yeah, it turned out I'd, lacerated my spleen. Not funny, but yeah.
Driving yourself
Yeah,
there.
but like, by this point, my shoulder was just, I was just in agony. Like, I was driving, like I'm crumpled like this, trying to drive the car, like, and I can't even like see up the thing, I'm like, ugh. So I just went straight to A&E, and they were like, yeah, mate, you got internal bleeding, you're not riding the comp tomorrow. I wasn't fussed about the comp at that stage, that's for sure. I was in some pretty sore position. So yeah, that was that one, and then that took a little while too
To heal up from. Yo, I wouldn't imagine that would be a quick 6-week jobby.
Nah. That was
How long did it take?
It's not like you can have a look at it going, oh, yep, it's healed now. No, it took a while, and then when I was nearly healed, I went to climb up into the roof and went to pull myself up, and something happened, and something went bang again, and I did something, like it just hadn't healed, like,
Well, you re-ruptured it.
Oh, no, not something. I did something, not ruptured it, but I did something like retore something somewhere, something muscles or something all across there, and then that was like another extra like 3 or 4 weeks on top of it, because like of how I'd taken the whack, and then it wasn't just take that much of a whack to blow out your insides, it like rips a whole heap of other stuff, so it all had to heal, and then when it wasn't healed, I went to climb into the thing, and then it ripped it all again. I was like, oh mate. I think when I was trying to be hardcore, I was like, I mean, when I was hardcore.
When I was back in my day.
Back when I was hardcore. Nah, yeah, when I was trying to be hardcore, it was like, on average, 2 breaks a year, probably. Like sometimes more than one thing in one go. But,
yeah, like was a series there. When I was living with you, there was...
Yeah, it's just like quite a common, oh, yep, there goes my ankle. Like, oh, yep, sweet as.
Yeah, it's real buzzy how it's not a big deal. Like it sucks, but it's just that much part of the sport. You're like, oh, I'm broken, I'm out for 6 weeks. Oh, I'm out for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm out again. And this whole time you're sitting there, like, rather than sitting there going, taking a look at yourself and going, what is happening and why is this happening to me? You're like going, man, I can't wait to do it again. Man, I can't wait to do it again. Man, I can't wait to do it again. And then you go and do it again, you go down again, you're like, oh, and rather than taking a look and going, why is this happening? You just go and do it again.
Yeah.
But learning process,
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely big learning curves as you get older.
Oh, yeah, the curves are there. Whether they learn it, whether something's learned or not, depends upon how much you just take a look at what you've done and what you're doing next.
So you've definitely paid your dues out there on the BMX bike, that's for sure, by the sounds of it.
Oh, yeah.
Been there, done that, sort of carry on.
Don't feel like, like we were just saying, like, oh, it was like quite a regular occurrence. Not keen on the regular occurrence anymore. Not keen on any more break-ins. Like, nah, I just like to have. I just like. Well, it's like, and like I was saying at the start, like I want to ride my bike I will ride my bike for every day for as long as I can. So now more my plan is, well, now what it is that I'm doing is look after myself so I can ride for as long as I can.
Survival.
And just so that I can enjoy it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that doesn't mean I'm not going to go and do tricks. Like that's not my reason for me not going and doing tricks. That's just how I just like to enjoy the ride now. But like even then, just looking after myself so I can ride for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chopping it sideways.
Is that rap song we made? That was your line in the rap song, not my line in the. Oh, that was both our lines.
Sideways, chopping
ripping
up sideways.
Yeah, I'll stop there. But yeah, pretty much. Just flowing. Just not even just the feeling of just catching those landings mean and just being one with it.
Yep. Like I said, I fully understand exactly what you're talking about. Like even now, when I still go out and with all the boys and all the boys, like you can do that, bro. I know you can do that. Send it. I just, like I said, I don't feel like having a regular occurrence anymore. I just, I know it's a part of the sport, but if I can avoid it, I just won't do it. And I'm happy with that because I've still gone out, I've had fun, enjoyed myself.
I look at it now, like I used to go I used to like regularly every day go in funny 30 foot, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
Now I look at it going like,
I'm driving out the driveway, heading to work, and this fella's walking on top of the roller. And I'm like, sure, have a mean day. Rob, fronties, flip whips, all the best tricks at the time.
Before 7 o'clock.
Before 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mean though. But like now I look at that and I'm like, I can understand it because of where I was at then. But now I look at it and I'm like, I don't feel like doing that anymore. I still go and ride and drop in at 6 a.m. but not. Yeah, not just the mental
Games runs.
Mental state changes.
Yep.
Yeah, mental state changes.
Well, I guess that brings us to like, what are you doing now?
Sitting here talking to you.
Well, not currently, but like,
yeah, but
when you're not training anymore, like, what are you doing with your spare time?
I like to. I guess the expression, is the shift and the change. It goes from riding. I still ride bike as an expression, but I like riding to writing. I like writing book. I just write stuff. It's just I don't know. It's just a different kind of a flow, and it comes out. So something I started doing, just naturally started doing, and then I was like, I quite enjoy doing this, so I just keep on doing it. Yeah, it's quite cool.
So I know you've written 2 books now. Though
published
two,
yeah.
2 books.
Yeah.
So you've got more out there in the wing, fun, interesting, very cool.
No. What were you saying? 2 books? So you've
published 2 books.
Published it, but just recently over the last week or so ago.
So rather than expressing yourself on the pedals, you're doing a bit more expressing yourself in words. Would you? I guess. It's not necessarily. It is word. I guess it is. Words. You taking those experiences and putting them into a written form. Yep. It's not necessarily. It's more the way that I would describe it. I guess. Right. Rather than because what I would used to do is like have an experience and you need to release it from you somehow. You need some kind of otherwise it just not necessarily bottles up, but it's sitting there and you kind of do something with it. So you go and flip, whip, and jump and go and do something, using the same energy but in a more positive direction that I can help myself as well as others rather than hurting myself and trying to beat other people in competitions and that kind of carry on, I guess. Yeah. So still using the mentality of what you've learned.
But fully, it's not like a thing that I go and do to like. There's no competition in it at all. It's just I just enjoy doing it. It's like why.
Why you started
riding in the first place. Yeah. It's like it's nothing to do with doing it to make something of it. It's just like it just some people like to just go for a walk. I might go for a walk this evening, and they go for a walk, and that feels nice. And it's like, I might just go and have a ride, and then because while they're out there walking around, they're processing their things, but even if they don't even realize what they're doing, that's why they like going and doing walking, because while they're out walking, they're processing their stuff, and it's like their meditation is through walking. Whereas I quite enjoy just writing things, and it just comes at there. Like I don't necessarily, and I don't force it because it's not a forced thing. It's just it just comes.
Yeah. So you don't have any, say, time schedule, 6 a.m. drop and go writing or whatever?
I like writing in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep, writing, and I think that is why I like writing. It's going to be hard to do writing. No, like that time of the morning is just, there's like the energy at that type of the morning is, I like writing then because it's quite still, you know, and it's like this, by the end of the day, you've had the whole heap of the day's build up to that point, and it can be, you've got all of the stuff, but in the morning everything's quite like, you know, you're woken up and you're still a little bit like, woo, you know, well, like not necessarily like out of it, but you're like relaxed and calm. It's a nice space to be in to be doing it. Whereas like kind of like
haven't been affected by anything throughout the day.
You've just had a mean snooze and you're like waking up and you're like, oh, and you're like completely calm and it just, that's well that. But then I could do it. But then but then that's when I will say channel it. But in the day is when it comes. So I'll be like cruising through the day doing my thing, and then like take like, you know, through an event or something that happens in the day, or just doing something while I'm doing it. I could be riding my bike in the day and something come to me then and be like, I'll write about that in the morning, and then in the morning, do something, write something down about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that kind of thing, you know. It's not. I don't even for myself. It's not even a thing. It's just something I enjoy to do. It's not like this is something I do. It's like, lame, because then that's turning it into something that it's not.
Yeah, it's just the same as what you do writing now. You just I'm going out riding, I'm doing things, you're jotting down some stuff and put it into a full format for a book for others to read.
I quite enjoy it because you could I like it because it's like you say something that's saying something about something else, but it's not saying what it's saying, but it's saying what it is, you know. Have you got what I mean for that? But
I do.
Yeah.
I was trying to not proverbal, or it's not even a word.
No, it's not. It's taking a look at myself.
Yeah.
Being aware of yourself and what I am doing, being aware of myself and what I am doing, and how it's like looking at myself from a third perspective.
Yep.
In a way, I guess, and not necessarily. But then that's only one. But then depends on what it is that I'm writing. That's only one. I write other things that aren't in that kind of direction either. Like I will write things about something else. It's like when you're riding your bike, you can do this kind of trick or that kind of. It's not tricks though, but you know what I mean. Like you could ride You could go ride the skate park, or you can go ride dirt jumps.
Yep.
Depends on what you feel like riding that day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can go ride flatland. You can go ride the shit. You can ride your bike on anything. You can just like how you can go and ride your bike on a wall. You do a wall, like a wall. You can ride your bike on flat ground. You can write in any kind of format as well.
Yep.
And I guess that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. But I like the physical writing with my hand, not tapping in the keys. I tap the keys to print them out. Because that's how it needs
so
to. So
you haven't...
Right, yep. But no, tapping. Nah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so you handwrite all of your books and stories, or I guess you just note stuff down and put it in order later, or is it somewhat in an order?
Yeah, same
already?
thing again. You can write on a wall, you can write on a piece of flat ground. It's like some things I'll write one piece, and then as I'm cruising through the day, I'm like, something will happen, I'm like, that's the piece that goes next, and then jot that down as the next piece. Or some things I'll just write a whole heap of stuff down, and then I'll go through and then put them all in an order.
Yep.
Or some things I'll be talking about a story of something that's happened, so then there will be an order to it. Put them.
So yeah, your physical books in an order, but when you're writing it down,
they're always in an order, and there's always a story to it. But it depends on how you read it, is the story that you get out of it, and every person that reads it gets a different story out of it, because they'll only be receiving from it what they or how they perceive it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then for myself, the way that I write them down, that can either come through writing about a whole situation, or it can be writing things down in an order as they happen, or it could just be writing a whole heap of stuff down and then putting it in an order to suit the pieces that have been also placed into that.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I find it quite fun. It's like, I never thought I'd be a writer.
Yeah.
I never me English writing, like.
Yeah, well, growing up, I never would have thought that you would be writing books. When you came around and said that you'd written your first one, I was proper impressed.
Yeah,
and really surprised.
I didn't even know I was. Yeah, funny story how that all came about, and how but it just happened. Like same thing, it just happened, and I was like, and I was already doing it before I knew I was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm actually doing this, and then I just started writing it down. I just started writing stuff down.
So you're just writing stuff down more like as a journal? Was it just like you said, like an expression, sort of just to write stuff down, or?
No, I don't even know why I started writing it. Well, like then or now, you mean? Then.
Well, when you first,
I don't know. Yeah. Well, what happened is I had a bit of an experience, and I was like, I'm going to write some things down about that so I can remember, because it was like quite a significant one that I was, I'm going to write some things down about that so I can, because I was like, well, I kind of want to remember that stuff because I learnt so much. I want to like remember that so I can, because I learnt so much. I was like, I want to be able to carry that on so I can carry that on for other days and things, and like, and then another thing will happen. I was like, oh, I want to write that down so I can remember that for other days, because like it was just learning. It was learning for myself. That like by writing it, and it's something about when I write it down, it like locks it a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yep. It's like writing a notepad. You can have a list of things to do, but until you've actually written it down, you
and then
sometimes
you don't even need the list after you've written it, but it's because you've written it that you remember it. So like that's what I just started doing, and then so that first one that I wrote, I just wrote down a whole heap of stuff, and then I was just like, oh, I could make this into a book. And then I was like, and then I got suggested like, oh, you should write a book. So
someone suggested that you should write a book.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I kind of actually already am.
Without even realizing.
I was like, oh, I kind of actually already am. And they're like, oh, you should do it. And I was like, and then that's when I started kind of thinking like click, click, click. And I was like, oh, and then that's when I started, putting them into an order. And then I was like, whoa, I actually really, that's when I found like, well, I was already enjoying it, but then I was like, whoa, I actually found do quite really enjoy this,
Yeah. Were you nervous about putting sort of the stuff out there to a degree?
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly like it's like, but then if only because I know what it is for me or for myself.
Yeah, the story behind why you've written that.
Right,
but if you were to have
but
read
if anyone
the book,
else has read, they would have no idea
what the actual personal story is.
Yeah. And then that's the way it's written, is that anyone that reads it's only reading their own story anyway. So they're only going to be telling themselves a story about what they're getting, what they've already, what they need to receive from it. And if they receive nothing from it, well then no, sweet as. But then there's always a message in it for someone.
Like you said, and when you read through the book, it's really relative to, like you say, your own experience, even though you've had experiences.
But then as well, if I explain what it means for me, then it's going to change the way that someone else perceives it for themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's like saying that's cool, and then like I'm not saying I'm like talking about that Hot Wheels car that you have sitting there, like saying that's cool, and then because I think it's cool now, you're going to think that's cool.
Langers thinks that's cool. Yeah,
so now you perceive that as being cool, but until I've told you what I think, how I feel about it, it is completely up to you how you feel about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like so like if I was to go through and say this is what the whole book means, then whoever's going to read it's not actually going to get out of it what they wanted, what's intended, because they're reading my story, not theirs.
Yeah.
Where it's not actually where what I've written isn't actually exactly what it is. It's something relating to it.
Yep.
That whoever reads it is their own perception.
Yeah, I know when you've read them to me, and I've definitely skimmed through your first one because I'm not a fancy flash reader, but every time you do pick it up and read particular sections, it's directly relative to my experience, what I'm going through, or how, like you say, I can look at myself from a third perspective and view it from there, and you're like, oh, well, cool, without knowing why those thoughts had popped into your head anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm only realizing this now as I'm saying it, but it's like when you first start riding, and you start riding with this kind of style, and then you're riding with this kind of a style, and then you're like, the more you ride, your style progresses or your style changes, because you start to begin to feel more comfortable on the bike, So like at first you might like look real rigid and like you're still riding a bike and you're still doing jumps, but you're looking kind of still you're not in the flow, but then as you start to get more of a flow, and like I feel that's how it's kind of becoming with my writing, is that I started to I'm finding more of a flow in the way that I piece it together, that it's a whole rhythm section rather than just being one hit.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
Yep.
So like and yeah.
It's not.
But then depends on which book. It depends on which one it is as well. Yeah.
Yep. So I actually got a couple of copies here. These are both Langlands. This is his first book and his second book.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the cover's changed on this one, actually. This was the first cover that I made on this one, but then I've changed it since
So I
then.
got an OG copy.
You got the OG copy. Jeez. This was like there. So these are both OG copies. This was like the first version of this one that I've printed as well. Because it's like as well, it's like when you build a set of trails, it's like you can build a set of trails and hit the jump, but then after you've hit it a couple of times, you look at it and you're like, oh, if I tweak this here and tweak that there and tweak that there, that's makes it feel nicer to hit, and then it makes it feel nicer to jump, and then it feels and like the whole same thing, like as your writing progresses, you can now build it bigger, or you can make it steeper, or you can turn it into a bit of a hip, you know. So it's like kind of like, so that's kind of like how, like, you know, same thing with these. Like that was the first cover I made for that one, and then since then I was kind of like, you know, same thing. Like if I was to write that one again, there would be pieces, and only because of now how my writing,
same as what you're saying with the hills. You'd look at it now and be like, I wouldn't have done it like that.
Yep. So same thing. It's like look at so this one here, the one that I've just had printed, that I only did that like last week, and I only printed it last week, but then I already look at that now, and I'm like, ooh, like little pieces, like someone else would be like, oh, that makes no difference, but it's the way that it's like seeing someone do a jump. But if if you really watch how someone's writing, you're like, ooh, if they just did that little piece there differently, that would be like.
Yep.
But then someone who's just looking at it is like, oh, that still looks exactly the same. So there's like little pieces through there which I would be like, ding, ding, ding. But then that's for when I grab the shovel and grab the pen, you know, or pencil, and tweak up the set, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely impressed that you've managed to publish 2 books.
Thank you. I didn't do it. I didn't just did it because it's like riding a bike. You just go and do it because you love it.
Yep. So can people get their hands on that if they're wanting to get copies?
Yeah, there's a website that sells them, thebestlittlebookstore.co.nz or something like that, I think it is. But probably if you just search engine.
So what was the website again?
thebestlittlebookstore.co.nz. But
right.
then probably if you just chucked into the search engine my name and book for sale or something like that after it.
Can you get both copies? Or
both copies are on there.
Both copies are on there?
Both copies are on there, yeah.
Sweet.
But then, yeah, it's like, everyone will get a little piece out of it that's for them, you know. Like, and it all depends on how you read it. Like, and it all depends on how you read it is what you get out of it. Like, the first feedback I've ever had on this book I got today from my friend at the gas station, and she said she had to stop halfway because she started welling up.
Really? Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, far out. Cool, thank you. It worked. Not that I wanted to make her cry, but like, cool. And she said, like, thank you. Like, what then followed on? Like, she had to pause there because she had to sit with it for half an hour because she was like. But then that's just her. Not everyone would get the same.
Well, that's just obviously whatever experiences she's having at that time.
And how that related to how that related to her, you know. So she so she's saying, but then like how then what she had read followed on in the days to follow, stuff started clicking, you know, like that, like So she was like, huh, like, you know, like there it is. Kind of
I definitely know. After like Paul's personally read me these books, he knows I'm real dyslexic, so he's just wanted to read them out, and then I guess that helps you with your editing phase as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely has made me stop and think about a lot of things, and like she's obviously said in days to follow after, even years to follow after your first one, you can still think back and be like, "Whoa, that's
what I like.
That's really
what I like about
buzzy how it's
about
relatable
this
and-
one. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
there.
no,
I just got a
you're
little
right.
bit excited as I sometimes
go
do.
on, spit it out.
Now, what I like to do about this one, because this one, like this one here, the last one I wrote, I'll read what. Yeah, I won't read anything out of that one because that can be left to be.
a surprise."
Boo. Boo. No, yeah, that one can
You can read.
but like what I like about this
spit
one,
that
what I like about this one, I need to stop doing that, or people think I'm a criminal or something. What I like. Like, why does he walk around with a balaclava? It's because it gets cold sometimes, and it's winter, and it gets cold, and it's nice to feel warm. Now, what I like about this one is you open it to any page, and it gives you something that you kind of, because it's written in an order, but not in an order like this one's been written in an order. So this one I like about you, like open it to a page, and
Is it parables?
what does that mean?
Is that what I was trying to say?
Yeah, before parables.
Yeah.
And I said, what does that mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's what it means. Fellow wrote the book, doesn't even know what he's talking about. But yeah. So yeah, that's what I quite like about it. And like right there, the one that I opened it to was it's hard to see life in the ocean when you're only looking at the surface. Pretty much.
Read that again, just in case we missed that.
It's hard to see life in the ocean when you're only looking at the surface. Depending on how you read it, is what you get out of it. Exactly what I was just saying is what that just said. It's like if you look deeper into it, you're going to see what's beneath the surface.
Yep.
But you can't
There's
see
a whole ocean out there.
There's a whole ocean out there, but you only see this. If you only see the
see the
surface,
surface
but then depending on how deep you read it, you know, it's like that's what I like. That's what I quite like about this one is and I still use it myself. I'm like, if I'm like got something going on, and I'm like, well like what's go like, you know, like, oof, and then I'll open it to a page, and then they're the same page again. Is it's like it just seems to somehow, and I'm like, huh. Then it just clicks on my, that makes sense then, you know?
Yep. No, I definitely, like, that one there's been sitting in my office the whole time since you've given it to me. And like you say, if you just, like, I'll randomly, when I'm tidying up the mess in my office, you'll see me like, oh, Lang is this book. And you literally will be like, Funk. And then you're like, you read a couple of the paragraphs or sentences that are there, and it literally almost doesn't matter where you flick to in the book. It's, like you said, how deep do you look into that?
Well, it all becomes to how deep, how much are you aware of yourself at the time?
Yep. And you can, and it's, I personally love it. I reckon it's really
So,
good.
yeah,
'Cause it makes you stop, and it makes me stop, and it makes me think about what I am doing for whatever reason, just by a simple sentence. It's really good.
But then like somebody said, like doesn't mean anything. But then if you actually look at it and go, oh, what do I have going on? Like if you're already aware of what you have going on at the moment, that will give you what you need to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
That's the idea of it, yeah. And then the last one that I wrote, this last one, is more written in a format. It's in a story, and it's in an order, but it's a little bit different. But then that can be.
What are the actual names of the books? I don't think we've even covered the names.
Oh yeah,
of
so
the,
this
of the
we have Unwrapping the Present, and the back cover because again. You'll get a lot of sentences out of me. I start saying, then probably stop saying. But and that was one of them. But yeah, what's got this? And on the back of this one, it says, so what do you call the piece on the back of a book? The summary?
Oh, you're the author.
The summary?
Summary, yeah. It's good to me.
Yeah, so you don't become good at writing by hitting big jumps. You hit big jumps by becoming good at writing. That's that's Unwrapping the Present. And then the one that I've just had published is called When I Started to Live to 100 Years Old. And on the back of that, it says, there is a reason why broken and beat up old vehicles restored back to mint condition are worth so much.
I do like that. I read that and I was like, that's really cool.
Why are they?
Because I guess it's the history behind it.
Is it?
Well, if you're looking at that from a surface level, yeah.
Oh, it depends.
But yeah, it depends how you want to look at it. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
it's the experience between a
it all
human
comes down
or
to every
whatever.
person's own view of their life.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing for everything through it, how they will perceive it.
Yeah, well, the way I perceived that back cover piece was from brand new, it's been used, you've smashed it to pieces because you've used it in whichever regard, and if you've completely left it damaged, there is no more experience being able to come out of the bashed up vehicle because it's so damaged. But if that vehicle, say for vehicles or human, has been somewhat healed, repaired, the experiences that it will be able to generate or the fun it could have as a vehicle used again as it once was, but it's got so much more history or meaning behind it as a human that it can share forth more knowledge. That's
cool.
what I get from
cool.
the
Thank
back
you.
cover, and I
Thank
reckon
you.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
you know,
Thank
like
Yeah.
for you've driven a flat road and you've never been broken, never been damaged, never been serviced because you've never had to.
You've never lived.
You've never lived. You've got no experience to pass on to anyone else
That's cool.
or help anyone. That's
cool.
what I get from it.
Thank you.
Which
I like
pretty
that. Thank you. It could also. I admit, I still haven't figured it out yet. But I still haven't figured out my own answer yet. But then it could also be how much hard work is put in to restore it back to mint condition.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, you can't just flick a switch and it happens. You have to dig deep.
Yeah. Well, just going back to your head injury, to get back to a full working human being again.
They told me I was never going to ride. I've been told I was never going to ride my bike again heaps of times. They said, "No, mate, you're pretty flogged. You're like," and then I came back from. I'm not just talking myself up, but I'm just like you.
I watched you learn to walk, talk again, and get back out on the world stage.
I went and jumped the hills. That's like the dream. That's like you know, like from being and it doesn't worry me. Like I mean, I just go and do what I'm going to go and do.
And that's why the hard work that you put in,
you don't do it for the money. You do it for the love of it, and it's like,
got there.
And there could even be that as well. You know, the worth. Far out. We're learning while we're here talking. The worth isn't even necessarily what the money's worth. It's the worth that it is in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's what you like. Knowingly, the position you're in, and you're like not in a good position. And you know where you want to be, the effort that it takes, or the dedication that it takes to get from that point to where you would like to be. When you reach there, like
there
that's
two different meanings from two different people from the same set of words. So
they'll probably come up with another one if we were to keep going on a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
it's like, but then I'd like to hear what someone else's perspective.
Yeah, that's why I really enjoy your box.
It's cool. No, thank you very much.
Because like you just said, like that's not what it means to you. It's completely different.
I still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. No,
that's why
I reckon it's a really good one, especially because I like getting into cars and fixing cars. It's a good one.
But yeah, so that's what this story is about is kind of what I mentioned. Is it's taking yourself from being in a position where you are that you may not necessarily feel like you should be, and can see where you would like to be for yourself, and putting in the effort to it's not effort, it's just doing what needs to be done to raise your vibration and reach that place. Mm-hmm. And when you do, that feeling of being there.
Yep.
But then at the same time, so I don't know. Everybody, each to their own. Doesn't worry me. Anybody can get whatever they like out of it, and as long as someone does positive for somebody else, then it's only going to pass that positivity on to another. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, I guess the more positivity there is out in the world, it's like they'll
it's a cycle.
Pay it forward
It's
system sort of thing.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like that too.
No, well, congratulations for pumping them out. That's
oh no, yeah, thank you, but it's no, yeah,
real
cool. it's the They don't come from a they come from a place that where I would like to be. It's hard to explain. They come from a place where not all feelings are nice feelings, but positive things come from those.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that, yeah, well said.
that's what it is. Whether that be whatever it is for any person. Every person has stuff. We all have stuff. Even the most happiest looking people in the world have stuff. Even the most richest people in the world have stuff. Like, we all have stuff. It's all just different and depending upon each person as an individual.
Yeah.
And when you are aware of your stuff, you are aware what needs to be done. When you're aware of your stuff and you're aware that you would like to make a change, you're aware that something needs to be done.
Yep.
To make that happen.
Yep.
But not necessarily needs to be done. Something just needs to change, and you need to allow. You just need to. Yeah, it's not necessarily. Yeah, and it's allowing that change to happen. Is what it is. It's knowing that. Yeah, allowing that change to happen, which is not necessarily easy, but it's just what you do. It's what we're here to do. Otherwise, we'd still be sitting in the car, wondering how am I going to get into that hospital. You know. What needs to be done? I need to get in there. So you do what you need to do. You drag yourself across the ground and you drag yourself to there. What do I need to do? I need to drive straight to that fucking hospital. What do I need to do? What do I feel like doing? I feel like digging a big jump and going and jumping it.
Yep.
Oh, I stacked it. What am I going to do? Do it again and land it. Oh, I stacked it. What am I going to do? Do it again and land it.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Are we getting all emotional now? No, you cut that bit out. But yeah, no, that's it. That's pretty much it.
No, that's pretty wicked, Mr. Paul. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I would like to thank everybody.
Thank everybody? Yeah.
Yep. I would like to thank everybody for just being on the journey and being a part of it all. And every person is a part of what makes this what it is, not just for myself, but for everybody else. So, and the more greater that we can make it for everybody, the greater it will be for everybody.
Yep.
So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, well, I'd also like to say thank you just to you
and thank
directly.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Like what you have done for me personally and through my riding career, like I probably wouldn't be where I am today, being able to do the stuff that I do without you having been there that whole time, and I guess taking me under your wing to some degree, even though we were side by side.
Likewise, bro.
And all the hints and stuff with doing everything that I do now, that when every time you do come around and you're like, bro, here's a good idea, because you've gone through a lot of that, or you have done so much, say, in the scene, not just in New Zealand, but also on a world stage level. I definitely thank you for helping me along my journey as well.
Thank you, Hugh. I appreciate it. And
it's real cool.
We all have the people in our lives that are there to guide us to where we would like to go.
Yep.
Or where we know, or where we're here to be. So, and when we're aware of that, we can allow it to happen.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Cool.
Massive thank you, Mr. Paul. Absolute legend. New Zealand legend right here, Mr. Paul Langlands. One of the best to come out of the country, and by the sounds of it, he's still got more to prove out there, or not even prove. Not even prove. He's he's got more that he would like to achieve personally for himself. So I'm looking forward to watching your adventure and seeing what else comes out of your pencil work. That's for sure. If there is. If there was to be any more pencil work come out of you.
Mine in the gutter always, eh?
Listen to it, eh?
Yeah, bro, thank you.
Nah, mean as. Awesome team. Mr. Paul Langlands.
Thank you. I spelt written wrong.
Did you get something on like Hugh to spell check it or something?
No, I wrote it in pencil on the front there. I didn't even. Yeah, I think written has 2 T's. Like I was saying, you build the jump and then you got to tweak it, eh? Nah, I can't tweak that. It's done. It is what it is.